And we could be here all day on that, like who was in power at the time and who basically, mismanaged the place. I mean, it looked to me like people were protected, and that's why it seems like nobody wanted to do anything back then, and I think it's a tragedy. It really is a tragedy, because we are here today partially because of the mismanagement of that previous board and the previous director and executive director.
Mayor, talking to some of the residents, and they wanted to know would an order in the lawsuit, when they heard about the lawsuit, would an order be in the lawsuit to shut the landfill down until they got the problem fixed? Because a lot of them feel like that's the only solution. If something's really that broken, to just shut it down until it's fixed.
Well, that makes sense, shutting it down, okay? But quite frankly, I find that very difficult. That's going to be difficult for us to do. Unfortunately, it's the only show in town, and I'd love to shut it down tomorrow. One of the other things to keep in mind, though, that the landfill pays the town of Johnston $3.9 million a year. That's nearly not enough, by the way. But that's money that we rely on, unfortunately. We rely on that money. So if we would ever lose that money, our taxes would probably go up approximately $450 per household. So that's a pretty big hit. So do we want to see the landfill closed? Sure, we'd love to see it closed. But where do you make up that money? But most importantly, forget the money. It's about our health. I believe it can be corrected. I just don't think that the people responsible are taking certain steps to correct it and correct it in a rapid fashion. I think maybe they think it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to continue. So, as I said before, I was very discouraged, and I believe, and I'm not speaking for the governor, by no means, but I believe he was very discouraged on the answers that we did not receive on Tuesday at Resource Recovery. We had another meeting with the governor yesterday.
And forgive me for this question, is the state of Rhode Island going to be involved with the city of Johnston, town of Johnston, with this lawsuit?
Well, the state of Rhode Island Rhode Island Resource Recovery is a quasi-public agency, so the state of Rhode Island is going to be involved in the lawsuit.
As a defendant. How long has this landfill been here, and what percentage of the state's waste does it accept?
Since 1980, and I want to say at least 85-90%. I don't have the numbers, but there's over 500 trucks a day allegedly that go in and out of the landfill. And as I said, we're going to, one of the other avenues we have is to have our police officers, our enforcement officers, under Chief Tamburini and Deputy Chief Accessory, to make sure that those trucks going in and out are safe to be on the road. And, it may cause backups. I don't know what's going to happen. We're tired. I can tell you that. As citizens, we're tired. Yes, Dan?
Mayor, I'm certainly no landfill expert by any trade, but the landfill resource recovery and DEM has gone on record in the last month as saying that there were problems with the wells in the secondary site. The senator and I drove out there one day.
Correct.
There were problems in the secondary site with the wells that went underneath, and they couldn't suck the gas down, which is what the problem was. He went on the air, he apologized, our bad, and they were trying to fix it, which he said before Christmas it would be fixed, and that you wouldn't be smelling that extra odor. I call it extra odor, up and above the regular landfill odor. Do you accept that?
I really accept what Resource Recovery has done up until now, okay? They still need to be held responsible because obviously they control the landfill. However, I am very, very concerned about this Broadrock Renewable Energies because to me, they're responsible for recovering the gas. And quite frankly, I asked that question to those two engineers that were there the other day from SCS, I believe. And I asked them, I said, and just as a layperson, it makes sense to me that if you capture the gas, even if you don't use it for energy, you burn it off, you're not going to get the smell. And correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, you were there, and Councilman Petticelli, Brian, you were there. We couldn't get an answer. I mean, we got no answer. The governor even asked. And I said, listen, you don't want to answer me, at least answer the governor. And they were just blank faced, if you will. So I don't think it's, I think it's, yes, it's Resource Recovery, but most importantly, I think it's Broadrock. I really think that they need to step up to the plate in whatever they were doing. We have seen an increase, and we're concerned because it's not getting any better. And Resource Recovery they have done their due diligence. They've sunk more wells, as I stated. They got the dewatering going on. They've got a huge vaporizer, if you will, up there. It's a huge machine that emits honeysuckle smell. That's not working. I mean, that's crazy. It's not working. But we're paying for it. You know, $4.2 million later, it's not working, and it seems like the other company's just sitting there like this, waiting. So I hope I answered your question in a roundabout way.
Not really, but let me ask you before again, so you do accept it, you do accept that explanation, or you don't accept that explanation?
I accept the explanation that Resource Recovery has done what they were supposed to do.
I mean, the whole wells are broke. I mean, Senator, you were up there with me one day, right? We drove up there in a car, and we looked down. I spent more time than I cared up there. They've been on the
Welcome
record.
to our world, Dan.
Well, I just like to say that they say the wells are broken and that they're going to be fixed by the 19th is what he gave me.
We were told.
So you talked to Michael O'Connell, and do you accept his accountability on this, or
I accept his accountability, but I don't, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to work. I think they have to, Dan, I really think that Broadrock Energy has to step up to the plate, light a couple of flares, and burn that gas off.
Do they have a machine that emits honeysuckle?
Yes, they do, believe it or not. It's a huge machine. I have not seen it, but I was told it's a huge machine. It's a honeysuckle aroma that lets out, but it's not working.
Has there been any discussion of activating the second area in phase 5?
The only thing we were told about the next, you're talking about the next area?
Yeah.
The next phase?
The part that's currently inactive.
No, there was just, no, nothing.
Mayor, when's the last time the police here were involved with checking vehicles in the way that you just described, going into the landfill? Is that, I mean, it sounds like there's an odor situation and you're going to go look at vehicles and it's, am I correct to
The
think
vehicles are
that?
bringing in the stink.
Okay. So is that going to be the first time you've done that?
In the 1980s, Mayor Roosevelt set up a roadblock.
Yeah.
And the governor had to go get a court order to open up the roads. It's a Johnston Road.
We own the road. You know, if the road needs to be repaired, if we have to dig up the road and close one lane down, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. We just want to, we want to send the message that this is going to be done. This is going to be fixed. Stop taking on kindness for weakness. We're done.
Dr. Chulula, can you explain, were there any health concerns for the students, or were they just complaining about the odor?
No, there were health concerns. We had students who had to leave the building because they were feeling ill, whether they be asthma symptoms, or some of them developed rashes. So there were some health concerns.
But you've not been able to trace that to this landfill?
No one has definitively said it's because of the landfill. However, they did eliminate any school-based problems.
What school is that?
The Johnston High School.
How many students do you think
Probably between 10 and 20 had to be sent home on a daily basis while that was going on.
How long has that gone on? What?
Probably about a week back in October.
And once again, we're looking at ourselves saying, gee, we have mold. We keep our schools immaculate. They may be old, but they're clean. So here we are blaming ourselves, and all the while it's coming from the outside air.
Hey, you're blaming on the air, but the health department said that there's no health risk.
Dr. Bennett says, would you come up, please? Yeah.